Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our Path of a Magdalena program for November. And if this is your first time joining us, we are in the middle of a year-long gifted program where each month we examine and really cultivate and begin to embody a different quality of Mary Magdalena. And so throughout each month, we release an interview with a Magdalena practitioner on this quality of Mary Magdalena. We have a live event like the one we're having today. And then we have different engagement on social media throughout the month. And look, this is really a fantastic program so far. We have been so enjoying, cultivating these different qualities as a community together. And that is really a core piece of Mary Magdalena too, is community. So welcome. This month, we are looking at the quality of courage. So Mary Magdalena was very, very courageous, and we'll get into some of that on this discussion today. But I'm excited to introduce our panel for courage. So we have Alicia Nemec, who is a Magdalena practitioner from Cooperstown, New York. For those of you who don't know Cooperstown, this is the location of the Baseball Hall of Fame in the United States, a treasured place by many, not so much me, but it's known for that. Then we have Lily Anderson, also from New York, from Syracuse, New York. Thanks for joining us, Lily. And we have Bridget Heron from the west of Ireland, Bridget, and Lisa Guinan, also from the west of Ireland. If you've been watching this program for a few months, you'll notice that Lisa has been with us every month. That's because she is like mastering every single quality. So we are happy to have Lisa here with us today and really our whole panel. This is a really special panel today, a really good and special panel. So I'd like to start off by saying to anyone who's watching either live or you're watching the replay, please interact with us. We want this to be helpful and supportive for everyone. So write something in the chat. If you hear something you like, let us know. If we pose a question or a topic to the panel and you have something to contribute, please include that in the chat. It really serves everyone. When I read people's comments, I'm like, wow, that was really great. It helps everyone. So if you have anything to share with us in the chat throughout, either during or if you're watching the replay. Okay, so for the fabulous panel today, I like to start by thinking about this and by chatting about this. So how would you describe this quality of courage? And if you watch the interview on courage already, there's also this boldness that is discussed in there. So I'm wondering, can you start us off by just describing those two topics, those two qualities, courage and boldness?
When I think of courage, the first thought I have is how it's tethered to fear, which may be a little bit too narrow a definition of courage. I don't remember where I heard this quote that courage is fear that has said its prayers. And I always like that because I feel that, I always associate that with overcoming something that every other part of you wants to hold back, because whether it's an emotional fear you have, some physical fear you have, whatever category that is. And so I think courage varies with the individual and what their fears are. What may look, the optics of something may look, wow, that's really courageous, you did that. But if you're just so enthused and the fear of it is like, oh, well, whatever, maybe that didn't call on courage as much as it might with someone else. And sometimes you find courage, I think many times, at least I know, on some of the most innocuous things that you don't initially may think of as courage, where you have to align with who your authentic self is. I think it's a fidelity to your core values, particularly when not everyone and everything around you is supporting them. When I think of boldness, I don't always think it is absolutely tethered to courage. I think it's an aspect of courage, but I think of that more as an energy, an enthusiasm, a willingness to go out on a limb with something that's maybe innovative and different, try something you've never done before. And that can be overcoming fears. It can be, just that you're doing something that you've never done before, and a willingness to do that.
Lily, you look like you want to jump in there.
I just always love hearing everything Alicia says. Yeah, for me, I guess in a simple way of saying it is courage is kind of, if I'm sitting in my chair and I don't want to move, courage is what gets me out of the chair. And then boldness is me taking the walk and making the movement. Or courage could be what takes me from silence to speaking, and the boldness is the words that actually come out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I would add, I ask myself the question sometimes, do I choose courage or comfort? And so for me, courage, it can be about moving beyond my comfort zone, really stretching myself. And that can be in speaking up. That can be in saying something that is uncomfortable, taking an action, moving beyond, going. I think of boldness, the sentence that goes around in my head is, can I boldly go where I haven't gone before? I think it's from Star Trek, that moving. And yeah, so courage is really that, like has been named, it's that, can I take that action into something that is new, is different, is that I don't know? And so there is an element of fear there, and doing it anyway. And a beautiful definition I came across, which is, courage is the magic that turns dreams into reality. Just love that.
I love that. I love that definition. So I'm wondering, what is the boldest thing y'all have ever done? What is the most courageous thing you have ever done? Like, let's give some examples to people watching and really bring this quality to life through our lived experience. Lisa, do you have anything to share on this one?
Yeah, there's so many things I could share. I'm just thinking what's most appropriate and not too long. But, one thing that enters my head is, a few winters ago, we had really, really deep snow here in Ireland. We don't normally get it that deep, but this winter it was like really, really deep. And it was Christmas time. And I live in the west of Ireland, and I was going up to my family in Dublin on the east of Ireland. So already it was quite treacherous for driving, but, I thought, okay, I can do it. I had my daughter in the car, I had my dog in the car, I had all our stuff. And I got up to Dublin, and my parents live like right on the top of a mountain. And there's this like really steep road going up. And it's not normal for me. I'm quite a cautious person. So in general, I am not the kind of person to take big risks like that. But I got to the bottom, and none of the cars were driving up, because they were what happened, you had like the road, there was so much snow on each side. There was only one little kind of pathway up that would just fit one car. And it was only 4-wheel drive cars that were able to get up it. And when you drove up, it was quite a long way. If you met a car on the way down, I knew I was going to get really stuck really badly. So I had planned in my head that, well, I'm going to park the car at the bottom and I'll find a way, we'll get out and we'll walk, we'll find a way of getting, it was a few miles up to the top of the mountain. And then I just got to the bottom of the mountain, and, you know, I had this like thing inside me, this knowingness that went, you can get up there. And even though everyone had said, no, there's no way, and don't even try it, and it's dangerous, and you know what, I didn't, it was just in the spur of the moment. I didn't stop to question it or doubt it. And I just put my foot down and I just tore up there, and I was like, oh, please God, make me not meet a car on the way. And I just kept my foot down and I just bombed up, and I arrived in the driveway of my parents' house, and no one could believe that I had gotten my car. It was quite an old car, you know, really nothing special, no snow tires, nothing, that I'd taken the risk, and I had managed to get up the mountain and into my folks' house. And I never would have done that, only for I knew inside in that split moment that I could do it. So I was pretty proud of that. It was totally out of character.
Yeah, Lisa, so I like to share for myself and how it's similar. When I think of the boldest action that I've ever taken, I don't know, so many things came to mind, but one for sure was I used to do oversight of different prisons and jails, and I had to release a report once on a very, very bad condition and horrible things happening to people in a certain place. And I was terrified. I was just like 2 people on Team Kara versus like thousands of people and so much money. And this was really the type of report that would take a place down. And that wasn't my intention, but I did know that that was the result. And I remember I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I knew I had to. I didn't know how, but there was this knowing inside of me that I knew I had to release this. And what it was for me was the link to those people that were being harmed at those facilities. And this relates to what Becky was sharing in the video. I tied it to something bigger than myself. It wasn't really about me, although in the moment I felt so scared. It did feel like it was about me, but I had to bring a broader picture. And inside of me was that same knowing that Lisa had, like, I can get up the hill. And my knowing was like, I can do this. And it was actually more like, I must do it. So I wonder too, for others, like for me, that was the link. It was this vision of like, there was something bigger than me here. And that's what moved me from like an idea to bold action. And I'm wondering if others can describe that too. Like, what was the boldest thing, and what got you there? Like, what was the juice, the driving force behind it?
For me, I would say the boldest thing, and this isn't maybe one action, but I suppose it started with the vision. It started with the desire. And it would have been very clear to me in the beginning of my Magdalena program a few years ago, this desire to be able to express myself authentically with people, which is something that I felt like I could let people see like this much of me. And it didn't even feel like a choice. It felt like I only had access to that much of me in that moment with someone. And so knowing that that was my desire and being really committed to that and declaring that and knowing that it wouldn't just affect me, it would affect everyone I interacted with. It would certainly affect my children, which for me, that's a very easy motivator. Is this going to help my children grow? Is this going to help serve them? Okay, I'll do it then. But it's something that has not been one action. It's not like, oh, and then I spoke my authentic self and it was all better. So it was it's something that I've just continuously had to cultivate courage for. And I found the support in doing that in like our small group that, two of you are here on the call, and just started with speaking a sentence or two authentically. And still it felt like maybe it was seeing this much of me, but that was very bold for me in that moment. And then as weeks and months and years continued, I feel like those actions have accumulated, and the courage to speak has led to not only me being able to express more of myself, but really know more of myself in an authentic way, and being able to just be in the world in a more authentic way, which has allowed me to live more of my soul purpose and get to know myself more in that soul level.
So for everyone watching, in the Magdalena program, we have small groups. And Lily and Alicia are in my small group. We've been together since 2019. And I can just speak to watching Lily's transformation through courage. It was like, at first we like kind of knew Lily, and then she'd like open up a little and then kind of close off again, and know a little more and then close off. But really in the last year, she's opened up to us in a way that like my heart is so big for her. And I love the link to courage there, Lily. And I love that it's for your daughters, and it's just such a gift to us too.
Yeah, thank you.
And by the way, look, she's on the Facebook Live.
What? Well
Took-
done,
that's-
Lily.
It took a few times asking, but we got her
Yeah.
on.
That's not really well
Yeah.
done, Lily. That's well done, Kara. And, you can say no to certain qualities, but if you say no to courage, what the heck? I mean,
Yeah. Oh,
well played, Kara.
So look, I'm looking at our time and we only have 3 minutes left. We could go on for 2 hours, but we won't. So I think the last question that I'd like to pose, and then maybe Lisa, throughout the month, we could talk about Mary Magdalena's courage, because we didn't get to that on the Facebook Live. So tune into our Facebook, Instagram, and we'll share more about the courage of Mary Magdalena through social media engagements. But I'd like to know, for someone who's watching this and thinking like, oh, I just have no idea where to start. Like, courage sounds great. I'd love it. But what do I like? What do I actually do to cultivate courage? What advice do you have for that person?
I would suggest, based on what Lily just shared there, that whole piece of what's your desire? What do you want?
Mhm.
What's that inner calling that's speaking to you? And I know for me, I can have so many reasons why I don't take that step, or I don't take that action, or I don't speak those words. So becoming aware of that. So it's really that desire. For me, it was the desire to really live authentically, to be able to be, transparent, to be able to have truth in my life. And what's my soul calling? And what's the next step, or the first step, or the baby step? What's the first one thing or the next thing that I can do?
Yeah, I very much with that, it's really asking yourself what matters most. And I know just like a measure, so every once in a while I ask myself, when I'm on my deathbed, which one of these things is it going to matter more to me, that I didn't do this, or that I did do that, that I stayed in my comfort zone, Or am I going to say, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I live a bolder life? Why was I timid about this? And I really agree, because so much of it goes back to your authentic self. You know, are you that person that's going to hold back from really living your values, really using your voice, really saying what is in your heart and you know is true? Whether it's physical courage, political courage, whatever it is, whether it's just opening up in a group and saying how you really feel. It really is that alignment of what matters most, who are you? And so I think the first step is an internal step, and really sitting with and seeing who you are and what matters to you.
And I would just add to that also that, you know, for me, I find it can be good to recognize that, you know, there is a part of me, there's like my brain that wants to keep me safe and wants to keep everything the same, you know, and everything very, you know, comfortable. But the part of me which I would connect with my soul is like for my soul to evolve, which is why I know why I'm here. For my soul to be able to evolve and grow means that I have to change, and there's always going to be fear. And it's just acknowledging when I go into the fear about something, it's acknowledging, oh, that's just my brain. That's just that part of me. It will always behave like it's trying to keep me safe. And I appreciate that, and that's okay. But right now, I know it's okay to take this step and draw the courage to move into that step, because really I want to evolve and grow. And I just find that helpful, just to acknowledge that part rather than going into a battle between the two.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I would add to that is we're not starting from ground zero. It's not like we have no courage. So acknowledge the courage you do have, acknowledge the things you've done that have been courageous, the times you have faced your fears, and you're just building on that. So you have that within you. We all took our first breath.
Mm.
And what I'd like to add is, I think what, you know, when we're talking about, find something you're passionate about, you really care about, you really want. And when things get hard, remind yourself of that.
Mm.
Bring it back to, oh, this is why. Oh, this is why. Oh, this is why. And then use some of those tools that Lisa was speaking of when it gets really scary, or when the fear is a lot, and fear is great. You know, use some of those tools. And we also, you know, in the Magdalena program, we have other tools too. So if you want to learn more, we'll share that with you, different programs that we offer. But really think about why I want this, why this is important to me, and why this might even be greater than me. So I am sad to report that our video for today, our event is almost complete. I just have a few reminders. Lisa, I have a few, and then if I miss anything, I'll come to you, okay? Okay, so first, if you like the content in this video, give us a thumbs up. Lily, can I see what that looks like? There you go. It really helps our page. It just helps us reach more people. And as a community, that's our goal. So whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, give us a thumbs up. And also like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow Instagram. We're on Instagram too. We are really putting out some fantastic content on these different channels and platforms. So look for us there. So that's number 2. And 3, those who know me know I like to work in threes. Do yourselves a favor and sign up for the Magdalena experience. Okay. This is also no cost. This is at no cost. And the idea of the Magdalena experience is an hour-long program. We have 2 coming up. And the idea our intention with this experience is to allow you to experience Mary Magdalena, our community, and the frequencies of Mary Magdalena. So we have 2 coming up in English. And we'll put a link in the comments. Lisa, is that okay? Can we put a link in the comments so people can sign up? So
Yeah.
Saturday, November 19th, that's this coming Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Tuesday, November 29th, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. And those are English. We have a multilingual community, so we'll also be offering in French. But I assume if you're watching this, you can probably communicate in English. So there are the English dates. Lisa, anything to add?
No, just the Magdalene experience is what I was going to mention. That it's just an amazing opportunity to really get the feel of the energy and the frequencies that we work with all the time on our program. So
Yeah.
so,
And Mary Magdalena, when I know we're at time, just give me 30 more seconds. When Mary Magdalena came on this planet, one of her main goals was to begin this process of balancing the masculine and the feminine on the planet. And we're at a time where that's really active. So if that interests you, please join us. I promise you won't regret it. So thank you all so much for joining us today. Stay tuned to all of our social media, come to the Magdalena experience, and we'll see you again soon.